Hey everyone, and welcome back to Story-Driven English. Have you ever waited in a line? Really waited? Waited so long you started naming the pigeons on the sidewalk? Waited so long you forgot why you were even waiting in the first place? Leans in conspiratorially. Waited so long you considered starting a small business selling snacks to the people in the line with you? Well, today's story is all about that special kind of torture. Patience. It's about a man named Arthur and his epic quest for something truly legendary. It involves a very, very, very long queue. Stick around, practice your English, and maybe, just maybe, feel a little bit better about the last time you had to wait. And hey, if you like learning English through stories like this, do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button down below, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Alright, let's dive into Arthur's story. Arthur blinked. Then he blinked again just to make sure his eyes weren't playing tricks on him. They weren't. The line? Oh, the line. It wasn't just a line. It was a serpent, a great, multicolored, human snake that coiled around the corner of Maple Street, slithered past the old bookstore, wriggled alongside the park fence, and disappeared somewhere near the horizon, or at least somewhere near the bus stop, which felt equally far away at this moment. Arthur clutched the crumpled flyer in his hand. Le petit croissant, it proclaimed in fancy gold letters. Grand opening, featuring the world-famous, limited edition rainbow swirl croissant. Get yours before they're gone. He'd heard the whispers, the legends, the social media frenzy. This wasn't just a croissant, it was edible art, a buttery masterpiece. Layers of flaky pastry infused with natural fruit colors, creating a swirl that supposedly tasted like happiness itself. And Arthur, a man whose breakfast usually consisted of slightly burnt toast, had decided he needed this happiness. He needed that croissant. He hadn't, however, anticipated the sheer scale of the crowd. It seemed half the city had the same idea. He took a deep breath, squared his shoulders, which wasn't easy as he was more round-shouldered, and found the very end of the queue. It was next to a fire hydrant that looked vaguely judgmental. Well, Arthur, he muttered to himself, you wanted an adventure. He looked ahead. Hundreds of people stood between him and rainbow-swirled glory. This wasn't an adventure. This was an exercise in extreme patience. The first 10 minutes were okay. Arthur occupied himself by studying the backs of people's heads. There was a woman with bright pink hair, a man wearing a hat that looked suspiciously like a lampshade, and a teenager bobbing his head vigorously to music only he could hear. Arthur wondered what kind of music required such violent head bobbing. Probably not gentle flute concertos. He checked his watch. 11 minutes had passed. It felt like an hour. He sighed. The line hadn't moved, not an inch, not a centimeter. He shifted his weight from one foot to the other. He considered sitting on the fire hydrant, but its judgmental stare intensified. No, he would stand. He was committed. He was on a croissant quest. Ahead of him, a small child started whining. Wait, Mommy, wait. I'm bored. We all have to wait. Sweetie, the mother replied, her voice strained. Patience is a virtue. Arthur snorted quietly. Patience wasn't a virtue. It was a superpower he clearly didn't possess. His own internal monologue was already less virtuous. Why is this taking so long? Are they baking the croissants one at a time? Are they kneading the dough with tiny artisanal mouse paws? Another 10 minutes crawled by. The queue shuffled forward, maybe 3 steps. A wave of collective excitement rippled through the crowd, quickly followed by a collective sigh as it stopped again. It was like being part of a very slow, very hungry caterpillar. Arthur started observing his fellow waiters more closely. There were distinct types. There was the optimist, a cheerful woman about 10 people ahead, clapping her hands occasionally. "Won't be long now," she chirped to anyone who made eye contact. Arthur actively avoided eye contact. There was the phone zombie. Several specimens were present, head down, thumbs flying, completely oblivious to the world, the queue, or the approaching apocalypse, should one occur. One man nearly walked into a lamppost when the line moved unexpectedly. He didn't even flinch, just sidestepped and continued texting. Arthur wondered if he even knew what queue he was in. Maybe he thought he was waiting for a bus to Mars. There was the loud talker. A man 2 spots behind Arthur was having a booming phone conversation about his neighbor's cat's dietary issues. Apparently, Whiskers was lactose intolerant but had a secret love for cheese. The entire queue was now privy to Whiskers' gastrointestinal secrets. Arthur learned more about cat digestion in 5 minutes than he had in his entire life. He made a mental note never to offer cheese to a cat. And then there was Arthur. He decided he was the silent sufferer. He stood, he shifted, he sighed internally. He occasionally checked his watch, each time feeling a fresh wave of despair. He was also becoming the hungry sufferer. The distant, faint smell of butter and sugar that occasionally wafted from the bakery was pure torture. His stomach rumbled, a low growl that hopefully only he could hear. He wished he'd brought a snack, or maybe a sleeping bag. An hour passed. 1 whole hour, 60 minutes, 3,600 seconds. Each one spent standing, waiting, shuffling occasionally. The sun climbed higher, beating down on Maple Street. Arthur regretted not wearing a hat. The lampshade hat didn't seem, like such a bad idea now. The line had moved. He was now past the bookstore. Progress. He could almost see the corner the queue snaked around. He struck up a hesitant conversation with the woman in front of him, a kind-faced lady with gray hair. "Quite the crowd," Arthur offered, aiming for casual. She smiled warmly. "Oh yes, but I hear it's worth the wait. My granddaughter showed me pictures online. They look divine." "That's what they say," Arthur agreed. "Hope they don't run out before we get there." A shared look of mild panic passed between them. The unspoken fear of every person in a queue for something limited. "Let's hope not," she said, clutching her handbag a little tighter. "We just have to be patient." Arthur nodded, trying to absorb some of her patience through osmosis. It didn't seem to be working. His feet were starting to ache. A new level of boredom set in. He started playing mental games. He counted the number of people wearing blue shirts, 17. He tried to guess people's jobs based on their shoes. Tricky, lots of sneakers. He mentally narrated the actions of a nearby pigeon like a nature documentary. Here we see the urban pigeon, Columba livia domestica, performing its ritualistic head-bobbing dance, perhaps attracting a mate or simply hoping someone in this endless line will drop a crumb of the legendary rainbow swirl croissant. Suddenly, a commotion erupted further up the line. Shouting, pointing. A man was trying to merge into the queue about 20 places ahead of Arthur. "Hey, end of the line is back there, buddy," someone yelled. "I was just saving a spot for my friend," the man protested, gesturing vaguely. A chorus of disgruntled noises rose from the crowd. "Wait like the rest of us. No cuts. Impatient." The queue cutter, looking flustered, eventually retreated, muttering under his breath. A small victory for queue justice. Arthur felt a surge of solidarity with his fellow waiters. They were all in this together, united by their shared suffering and their desperate need for colorful pastry. Another half hour evaporated. They were around the corner now. Arthur could see the actual bakery sign, Le Petit Croissant. It felt like spotting land after months at sea. The smell was stronger here, a glorious, intoxicating aroma of butter, baked dough, and something fruity. His stomach roared its approval. The line seemed to move a tiny bit faster now, or maybe it was just wishful thinking. People's energy shifted. The boredom was replaced by anticipation, a nervous excitement. Phones came out, but this time to take pictures of the approaching goal, not to ignore reality. The optimist was practically vibrating with joy. The loud talker was still on his phone, but now describing the bakery sign to his presumably long-suffering conversational partner. "Yeah, it's got a little chef hat on the C. No, Whiskers can't have any." Arthur felt a strange mix of relief and anxiety. He was getting closer. Finally. But what if, after all this waiting, the croissant wasn't that good? What if it was just okay? The hype, the queue, the hours spent standing. It had built the rainbow swirl croissant up in his mind to mythic proportions. Could anything possibly live up to that? He was now only about 15 people away from the door. He could see inside the bakery. It was small, bustling, filled with staff in white aprons moving with practiced speed. And there, on the counter, under a glass dome, were the croissants. Oh, they were beautiful. Swirls of pink, yellow, green, and blue nestled in golden, flaky pastry. They shimmered. They glowed. They were everything the internet had promised. His heart beat faster. Only a few more people. The gray-haired lady in front of him turned around, her eyes shining. "We're almost there. See? Patience pays off." Arthur managed a genuine smile this time. "Looks like it." 5 more people. The line inched forward. Arthur rehearsed his order in his head. "1 rainbow swirl croissant, please, just 1. He didn't want to seem greedy after this ordeal. 3 more people. He could hear the cashier, see the exchange of money and pastry boxes. 1 more person. The gray-haired lady stepped up. "1 rainbow swirl, please, my dear." She got her prize, placed carefully in a small white box, paid, and walked away with a look of pure triumph. It was Arthur's turn. Finally. After nearly 2 hours of standing, shifting, waiting, and contemplating the digestive systems of cats, he had reached the promised land. He stepped up to the counter, basking in the buttery warmth. "Hi, welcome to Le Petit Croissant. What can I get for you?" asked the friendly baker, wiping her hands on her apron. Arthur took a deep breath. "1 1 rainbow swirl croissant, please. The baker smiled, reached under the glass dome with a pair of tongs, and selected a particularly vibrant specimen. She placed it gently into a white box. That'll be $6, please. $6, plus 2 hours of his life. Arthur handed over the money, his hand trembling slightly. He took the box. It felt warm, sacred. He stepped out of the line and away from the crowd, finding a small bench nearby that wasn't occupied. The queue still snaked down the street behind him, a testament to the croissant's power. He sat down, the box balanced carefully on his lap. He paused. This was the moment. He slowly opened the box. The croissant sat there, looking even more magical, up close. The colors were bright, the pastry layers perfectly defined. It smelled divine. He took his first bite. It was good. It was definitely good. The pastry was incredibly flaky, shattering in the most satisfying way. It was buttery, rich, and the subtle fruit flavors corresponding to the colors were delicate and surprising. Pink was raspberry, yellow was lemon, green was maybe kiwi or lime, blue perhaps blueberry. It was a very, very good croissant. Was it stand in line for 2 hours, listen to cat secrets, and question your life choices? Good? Arthur chewed thoughtfully, watching the crowd still waiting patiently and impatiently. He thought about the shared experience, the absurdity, the brief conversation with the gray-haired lady, the collective outrage at the queue cutter. He took another bite. Yes, the croissant was delicious. But maybe, just maybe, the adventure wasn't just about the destination, the final edible reward. Maybe it was also about the ridiculous journey, the shared human experience of waiting for something desirable, the stories you gather while standing in a seemingly endless line. He finished, the last bite savoring the buttery flakes. He felt a sense of accomplishment, slightly ridiculous accomplishment, but accomplishment nonetheless. He had survived the great croissant queue of Maple Street, and he had a story to tell. He stood up, brushed the crumbs off his shirt, and looked back at the line. It didn't seem quite as monstrous now. Just a collection of people hoping for a little bit of colorful happiness in a box. He smiled, gave a small nod to the judgmental fire hydrant, which seemed to nod back, perhaps out of respect, and walked away, already thinking about what his next slightly crazy adventure might be. Maybe something involving less waiting, or maybe not. And that was Arthur's epic wait. What do you think? Was the croissant worth it? Have you ever waited in a crazy long queue for something? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories. It's amazing how much life happens while you're just waiting in line, isn't it? I hope you enjoyed the story and picked up some useful English words and phrases along the way. Remember, practicing with stories is a fantastic way to improve your vocabulary and comprehension. If you found this story helpful and entertaining, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. Share it with any friends who are also learning English or who just appreciate the universal pain of waiting in line. And of course, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell for more stories right here on Story Driven English. Thanks so much for watching and spending your time with us. Keep practicing, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next story. Bye for now. Key vocabulary, repeated throughout. Wait, waiting. To stay somewhere expecting something to happen, or someone to arrive. Queue, a line of people waiting for something. Line, similar to queue, a row of people or things. Patience, the ability to wait calmly without getting annoyed or anxious. Patient, able to wait calmly. Impatient, not patient, easily annoyed by delays. Crowd, a large number of people gathered together. Finally, after a long time, typically when there has been difficulty or delay. Line up, to form a queue. Reward, something given in recognition of service, effort, or achievement. In this case, the croissant. Boredom, the state of feeling bored, lack of interest, almost nearly, very close to, not completely, closer, nearer in distance or time.